Well, it's been a while since I've put up a video. I've been doing stuff and I've got a pile of video but I haven't edited it. Anyway, I had a situation. Went down to visit my dad. I walked in and straight away went in to visit my dad. And as soon as I walked in, he started putting his shoes on. And I thought, oh, this doesn't look like I feel that relaxing. He said, I've been thinking about how to make your visit very annoying. So he's got an F350 truck. 1970, I think it is. It's got a 250 or 4.1 cross-flow alloy head engine in it, which he's had in it for, I don't know, 20 years or something. And he's had it on LPG the whole time. And it's normally run really well on LPG, started and run really well, but it stopped doing that. So he was asking me to have a look at it. So I had a look at it, and I had an LPG conversion on a 1969 Falcon. I drove for a long time, same motor, and actually he had a wrecking yard. My dad had a wrecking yard and a mechanic shop, and I got the conversion done on that car in his workshop. So I thought that my experience when you don't get an idle on LPG, I had ongoing problems with air leaks and vacuum leaks. And so I ended up making up a bracket. There was a bracket inside that was holding this little manifold that goes on the top of the carburetor. And I had constant trouble with the with that bracket bending, and when it bent, it'd just leak a little bit. And I would fix it. I'd straighten it out, and it'd run for a while. So I ended up making an aluminium bracket to machining an aluminium bracket to hold it that wouldn't bend. Anyway, so I immediately went to, is this a vacuum leak problem? But when I looked at it, and it's a terrible truck to get into, you got to climb into the engine bay, and I was wearing sandals, and I wasn't really in dressed for the occasion. But I saw this. This is the so this is the carburetor, and unlike mine that had a manifold that came on here, went out the side, and the gas came in up here, went through. This one had just got this fitting screwed into the side, feeding into the carburetor, and you can see it's got a bit of gunk on it. But this is very kind of, how's your father? About that irony. How's your father? There you go, Dad. There's a joke for you. This turns out, having talked to my uncle, who's a very good mechanic and knows about these things, there's positive and negative pressure LPG conversions, and mine was my one on the Falcon that I had was a negative pressure. So there's a cowl over here, and it's the air coming drawn down in the carburetor that's actually the pressure or the vacuum triggers a valve in the converter or the heat exchange unit where the gas is expanded that allows the gas to come in. So if you've got a leak in here, you end up sucking in air and you end up with a bad mixture. It's too lean. Well, I didn't know, but there's positive and negative pressures, positive and negative pressure systems, and this one is a positive pressure. So the gas is expanded in the heat converter, and there's apparently an idle circuit and a throttle circuit, and the idle circuit supplies the gas under positive pressure. So if this was a negative pressure one, it'd absolutely definitely not be working. But even as a positive, I reckon that we can do better than that. But this is my mission to start with, is to see what I can do to convert that to something that's not quite so wobbly. Well, don't panic, Dad. I'm sure I can get it back together again. What's going on here? Well, there's the hole in the side of the carburetor, and there's nothing much to be getting a thread in there. Here is the valve that goes in, and that was coming in, I guess. Well, I seem to remember that this, as it was sitting, had that valve level, and there was a where is it? Here it is. There was a thin nut on there on the outside, and then that means that it was poking in, and this has been just looks like it's been hand ground. That was going in there, and I think that was sitting approximately like this. And on the inside there was this custom made nut, and that nut, it was like this. So it's been ground. It's just a cast ladder nut, and it's been ground so that it'll actually get down into this position. This nut in here only has to lock it in place, and it did. And if you tighten it up, it does come tight at the end. And then this nut on the outside is what holds it in position, like locks it in. And actually, when I tighten this up, that nut, it's actually completely locked. And so I've got some Loctite 222 super thread locker, and put that in to the thread, so I don't think that that's going to rattle loose in a hurry if I let that dry. I've got the carbie back together again. I was going to replace these two screws, this one here and the one on the other side, with Allen's, but I didn't because it was too hard to get that one in. I have replaced it with slightly over length Allen's all the way around here, stainless. Doesn't matter that they're a little long. Yeah, so this whole thing is back in, and is nice and firm. It was just this nut here, so I think that should be fine. Now to the this manifold, well, this manifold adapter, whatever you want to call it. I was going to make another one, but it was $235 for the cut material because of the thickness of that. I could get something for nothing and make a shorter one, but if I get it so that I undercut, it's about, I don't know, 5mm thick here. Let's see, what is it? It is 6mm thick. So if I undercut, say 3 deep, where the screws were, you can see under here the burring on where the screws were, with it a little bit small, and then press these in. That should probably be all I need to do, because this is not going to come off very often. And actually, if you treat this as part of the carburetor, like that, and you don't even undo these ones here, doesn't matter, you'd have to undo those 4 and just pull that off when you pull the carburetor off. But it's a little hard to get to, particularly you've got this vacuum pressure here, manifold pressure. So I'll have a look and make a decision, but yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So I've got my milling machine over there, why not use it? Okay, using my wobbler again to find the centre. So just come over here, touch, and then it'll jump, and it's just jumped. So zero the axis, come back, wait for it to stop wobbling and jump. Righto, just jumped. So now I want to set my X half. Alright, so now just on the digital readout I've just set the X axis that I'm moving on. to half the amount it moved. And now I will go, oh yeah, I should be able to, oh. Alright, I'll have to go down further. Alright. Because I was going to hit. I'll go down a little bit further again. Right. Alright, and do the wobble. Just moved over on Y. Just put the wobble back. Come back over. Touch. And there's just jumped. And I want to go Y half. And now if I go to 0, if I go to 0 on this axis and a 0 on that axis, that is the center. Right, I've zeroed, I've got this quill here, and I've zeroed it on a little digital readout that I've got on the front here. So here we go. Lock both the axes. Yeah, near enough. Okay, so I'll go down 3mm. There's 3mm. Lock the spindle. Now I'll come across. This is 12, and the head of the bolt is 12.8. So if I come across 0.4 on the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, that loop, and then back on 0.4. And now 0 it again. Lock that axis and then take it 0.4. 0.25, 0.65. 0.65, 0.25, 0.85. There's 7.25. Right. And stop. By rights, that should just be a little tight on the head of this bolt, and it will be. I should be able to get that in there. We'll see. Okay, so now I need to go 37.25. Now lock it at 37.25. Back down here. Come down and put touches. Right. 0. And now down 3mm. Lock that, unlock this, 0.4, and across, lock, unlock, 37.65 and 36 volts. Right. I'll let these go. And there's the two undercuts. Let's see if I can get this to get these studs in, bolts in. Okay. Alright, so I pulled the first one in, no problem at all. So just put that through, get it into the right position, more or less, and put the nut on. Alright, and just wind it in with the nut. Oops. Alright. And unscrew the nut. And there they are, both in, and they both fairly held in position. Okay, so if I've done my calculations right and measured everything as it should, well, that one fits. And now, there we go. So the carbie fits on. I'll give it a washer on each side. That was sitting on the spanner. Alright, so it's about a half a thread that's not going in, but there we go. So this is now ready to go back onto the car with those two in there. Undercut, they're kind of locked in. Need to clean that gasket up, but that's not a big deal. So I'll put this video up with it done so Dad can see that I'm making progress. So there you go. It'd be good if it worked, wouldn't it? I believe that we've got a problem with the idle circuit over on the where the heat exchange unit is, where the gas is expanded, because as I said before, this is a positive pressure, so we can adjust this a bit, but it's just adjusting the size of the entrance to here. So there we go, that's now screwed on. Replace those all there, all those screws. Replace these with stainless, and you can see that there's about a half a thread, so they're fine. Half a thread not going through, and they're now embedded into there, holding in the correct position. So When I get this to the point where, well, when we put this back on, I might make some video of that, and then we'll see if we can get the truck to run. But that'll do for today.